Holy shit, you guys. John Wick Chapter 2 is gotta be one of the best movies I've seen in theaters in a while. This one knocks the first one out of my top 10 list with no problem. This movie has everything you could want, even more action, even more blood and gore and just everything, more badass Keanu Reeves. This is what we wanted. Um, Now, one thing that I will say is they didn't really do a lot. I mean, they enriched the lore of this world, but there's still one or two little questions I have sprinkled in. Um, and it's questions that I don't think they can really answer in a sequel. It's something that they kind of needed to answer right here in this movie, and I didn't get that answer. However, I will say it's a little thing. It's something that it's one of these questions that you have, but you don't necessarily need an answer in order to understand, follow the movie, and enjoy the movie. And that's what I did from beginning to end. Uh, in the first movie, there were scenes where it was, really action packed for a while. There's huge action packed moments throughout the movie, about four or five sprinkled through. This movie had it from beginning to end, and even more so to where I'm even cringing watching some of these scenes. And if you haven't seen the movie, I'm going to try not to do spoilers, but there's like a scene with like a pencil. And it's funny because in the beginning of the movie, they mention, John Wick once killed three men with a pencil, and it's kind of funny that exchange. But later on, nearing the end of the movie, he fights off about three men with a pencil, and it's one of the most ridiculous fight scenes, and it's so over the top, but it's not so much over the top that you get taken out of it. I know I have that problem a little bit with the Fast and Furious movies. I still love them, but sometimes it's a little too over the top, where I kind of get taken out of the movie. This, you're right there in it from beginning to end. Uh, Keanu Reeves is John Wick. Now I know there's been talks of a TV series, and I made a video about that, but it seems like that series is a little farther along than we're thinking. I think at first it was just something that we're talking about, throwing around, bouncing the idea around. I think they're actually working on a script, and if that's the case, I'm actually really scared because I cannot see anybody else play John Wick. Keanu Reeves is John Wick. Keanu Reeves is back, you guys. He is back and better than he's ever been. Um, this role fits him so perfectly. I thought Neo was the be all end all of the Keanu Reeves action characters. John Wick, all the way, 100%. I'm sorry for anybody that's a fan of Point Break, Speed, whatever. It's John Wick. Um, Again, beginning to end, great action. The first one ends off with something that always bothered me was at the end of the first movie he never gets his car back, and that's one of two reasons why he's doing this in the first place is because the dog in the car. He gets a new dog, but he never gets his car back. So this movie starts off with him finally going in to get his car, and I love that they did it in this way because what they could have done was just send him in, he gets his car, he drives off, and there's this monologue in the background, like some narrator monologue thing. They didn't do that. They didn't go the artsy way. They went full on John Wick action movie. The movie starts off literally with a car chase. Um, and it's so good. Because as this fight scene's going on, you're having the brother of the main villain from the first movie, the brother and uncle of the main villains in the first movie, pretty much give a monologue speech of why John Wick is such a badass and why it's so scary that he's coming after them. And it just hammers it home even more. I mean, there's another one of those scenes with, again, if you haven't seen the first one, spoilers, there's a scene in the first one where John Leguizamo's character is explaining why he just slapped this mobster's son. And he says, well, he stole John Wick's car and killed his dog. And he's just like, oh, and hangs up the phone because he knows, well, you were in the right to slap my son for that. So here again in the second one, they're saying, why are we giving up all of our money, all of our drugs? Why are we giving all that away and worried so much about this guy trying to come back for his car? And they're like, it's not just a car, and it's not just some guy, it's John Wick's car. And the guy's like, oh, like it just hammers it home the legend of John Wick. It's so great. Um, of course, there's some crazy, just brutal fighting going on in this, more so than the first one. And I'm so happy that they kind of amped up the action in this. It's not so it's pushing the limits. It's not going over the top, but it's trying to see how far it can go. Of course, if you haven't seen the movie, all I got to say is pencil scene. Look out for that. They're going to mention it in the beginning of the movie, what he can do with a pencil, and then you'll see what he can do with a pencil, and it's crazy, and it made me cringe in theaters. Um, and another thing is, I can't forget to say this. This movie was a little bit funnier than I thought it was going to be. There were some times in the during the movie that I was actually laughing really hard. There's a scene where they're going through some kind of terminal, like they're I don't know, they're it's like a some kind of subway system kind of thing, and one guy's upstairs and John's downstairs, and they're just shooting at each other, but they're doing it so incognito, like they're trying not to alert the civilians around them, so they just kind of have silencers on their gun, just shooting back and forth at each other as they're walking, and it's so funny and it's so ridiculous. I mean, I've heard what a gun sounds like with a silencer, and if someone were to shoot that right next to me, even in a subway, you're gonna hear it. But it's still like so silly, over the top. But it's a fun action movie. This movie knows that it's over the top and crazy, and at the same time can still hold on to some kind of realm of reality. And this is what these kinds of movies need. Um, Again, I can compare it a lot to like the Fast and the Furious over the top action. However, Fast seems to be more in the comedy side than John Wick is, although there is some funny scenes in John Wick. This movie, however, it's I don't want to say better, but it is. It's better than what the Fast and Furious stuff does. It's over the top, it's crazy, but it's not so much over the top that it takes you out of the movie. So, having said that, if I were to give this movie a rating, I would have to give it. I don't want to say a 10 out of 10 because I don't want. I'm trying really hard not to just give those out, but it's almost impossible for me to say 9 out of 10, and I don't like doing decimals. I don't want to say 9.5. Um, but it's it's one of those situations where 10 seems too high, like I'm praising it too much, and 9 seems too low. Um, so I'll just say this. If you are a fan of John Wick, of the original John Wick, if you're a fan of Keanu Reeves, if you're a fan of action movies, revenge movies, even just any kind of action movie, anything, if you're a fan of that, this movie is a 10 out of 10 because it gives you everything you could want. It gives you the action, the blood, the gore, the comedy, the car chases, the hand to hand fighting. The acting isn't even all that bad. I guess you could say Keanu Reeves isn't the best actor in the world, but this character fits his sort of acting. It just works. He's a man of very few words, and when he does speak, it might sound a little over the top, but he's such a badass that you fall into the hype of John Wick that you can let it go. So, if you're a fan of those kind of movies and you love the original John Wick, this is definitely a 10 out of 10 and possibly even better than the original. If not, if you're not into those kind of movies, if you didn't really care for John Wick, you're still going to love this movie even more. And it enriches the lore and the world that this movie takes place in, even more so than the first one. So you kind of get a more of a sense of this is a community as opposed to just like a few assassins kind of around that kind of know each other. This is a real community of people that have their own laws and their own rules that must not be broken. And if they are broken, there are some dire consequences. And we see that throughout the movie, and especially at the very end. No spoilers, but I will say this movie, if it does not get a sequel, if there is not a John Wick Chapter 3, I will be very disappointed. But at the same time, I'm so afraid of this franchising so hard because I do not want to see a John Wick 4. As much as I love the character, I don't want to see them overdo it. This needs to be a movie that they get right from beginning to end and they know when to end it. Going back to like the Matrix, as a lot of people say, they messed it up with two. There shouldn't have even been a three, and the only reason there was a three is because two was so long it needed a third. Um, a lot of people say it should have just ended with one. However, I feel that they needed that story. They needed to finish that story of what's going on with that war, and this leaves you off with there's still a war going on. This movie still feels like it's following up with the first one because without the first one, this one wouldn't have taken place. Nothing. I know it sounds weird to say that, but just the story wise, it's kind of like shoehorned in there, but at the same time, it feels like it fits because of the world they're living in, because of these rules. So it's a one continuous story, and especially with how this one leaves off, I'm ready to see what they do with a third one, but I don't want to see them overdo it. I don't want to see this become something where it's going to be a John Wick, chapter 6 and then John Wick the final chapter and then find out there's a John Wick legacy. I'm looking at you, Saw. You really disappointed me. I was so into your movies, but now with legacy, come on guys. Just end it. Anyways, John Wick, Chapter 2. If you have not seen it, you need to see it, and you need to see it in theaters. This is a movie you need to see in theaters. Please go see it before it leaves theaters, and you need to buy it. Buy it on Blu-ray, get a big-ass TV, make a big-ass bowl of popcorn, sit down, and enjoy this movie. It is probably the best Keanu Reeves I've ever seen. That is my opinion on this, and you know what? I'm sorry, guys. This is fact. The movie is amazing. Go watch it, and I will see you guys later.